She stood up in the middle of the aisle and screamed, "Get out! Both of you. This is my wedding, not your sob story." Everyone turned. My little daughter clutched my leg tighter. She didn't understand what was happening. But I did. My new bride, Mia, had just humiliated me, and my 6-year-old daughter in front of 150 people. My own wife kicked us out of our own wedding. I stood frozen, not because I didn't know what to do, but because I couldn't believe this was really happening. Just moments ago, I was holding her hand, saying vows, and now she pointed her finger at my daughter like she was dirt. "You said she wouldn't be here," Mia shouted, trembling with fake anger. "You promised no distractions, no kids." "She's my daughter," I said calmly. "My only daughter. I told you she comes with me." Mia rolled her eyes and stepped closer. Her voice dropped lower so only I could hear. This was supposed to be my fresh start. "I'm not raising your dead wife's leftover." I looked at my daughter. Her eyes welled up, but she didn't cry. She never did. Not since her mom passed. She just squeezed my hand harder. The guests watched in silence, no one moving. No one speaking up, except Mia's cousin Laura, who giggled and whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Guess the army trained soldiers, not husbands." That broke me. I picked up my daughter slowly, kissed her forehead, then turned around, walking out of the church in full uniform, medals and all. No one stopped me. No one clapped. No one stood up for us. But I wasn't angry, not yet, because what no one knew was that this wasn't the first time someone tried to erase my daughter from my life. And 5 years from that moment, Mia and her entire family would regret the day they mocked a soldier's bloodline. They thought the wedding was the final chapter. They had no idea. It was just the opening line. "You can kick me out of your wedding, but you'll never walk through life with clean hands again." 5 years passed. I never looked back, not once. I moved across the country, took a private security contract overseas, and focused on one thing: raising my daughter right. She was my world, but life has a way of circling back, especially when the past never learned its lesson. It started with a letter, no return address, just my name written in shaky cursive. Inside, a wedding photo, my wedding photo, torn in half. Only Mia in the frame. A sticky note attached. "You don't belong in our story." I crumpled it up, tossed it in the trash. But my daughter, Kayla, fished it out later. She stared at the torn picture for a long time. "She's still scared of us, isn't she?" she asked. I didn't answer. I couldn't, because the truth was, Mia wasn't scared. She was planning something. A week later, Kayla's school called. They said Child Protective Services had shown up asking about me. Anonymous tip. Accusations of erratic behavior and unsafe living environment. I laughed. Literally laughed out loud. Our house had security cameras, military-grade locks, homeschool modules, even Kayla's therapist notes. We were clean. But it wasn't about proof. It was about pressure. So I did what soldiers do. I started gathering intel. And guess what I found? Mia had married someone else. A wealthy HOA board president in a rich, gated community. Guy named Chad Whitmore. If you imagine the human version of a parking ticket, that was Chad. He ran the HOA like a mini-government, issuing fines for things like walking too loudly or grass too emotional. But that wasn't all. He and Mia were cleansing the neighborhood, targeting military vets, mixed families, anyone who didn't fit their image. And worst of all, they were about to buy the land next to mine. That's when it hit me. They weren't just watching me from afar. They were coming back, trying to finish what they started 5 years ago. Only this time, I wasn't walking out. This time, I was the storm knocking on their door. "You built your little kingdom, Mia, but you forgot who taught you how to lie with a smile." I didn't wait. I bought a beat-up old truck, loaded it with tools, and drove straight to their pristine, polished HOA-perfect neighborhood. The security guard at the gate stopped me. "Name? Jackson. I'm here to inspect the land next door. Buyer's rights." He scanned the clipboard, looked confused for a second, then waved me through. That's because I wasn't lying. The land next to theirs? It wasn't for sale yet, but I had just made an offer the bank couldn't refuse. Paid in cash. I parked my truck where their manicured lawn met the wild grass I now owned. I stepped out, cracked open a lawn chair, and sat down like it was my front porch. It took 20 minutes. Then I saw her, Mia. Still perfect hair, expensive sunglasses, and that same twisted smile under a fake calm voice. She strutted across the lawn like she owned the sky. "Jackson," she said sweetly, "this is a private neighborhood. You don't belong here." I pointed behind her. "I do now." She turned slowly, saw the big sign I hammered into the dirt. "Private property, no trespassing." Her smile cracked. "Just a little." "You think you're clever?" She hissed. "What, you gonna build a shack next to our house? Scare our kids with your PTSD? I didn't respond. I just hit play on my phone. A voice recording filled the air, her voice from our wedding day. The part where she called my daughter a leftover. Her face turned red. "You recorded me?" "Always do," I said calmly. "Just like I did when you called CPS pretending to be my neighbor. Or when Chad sent that fake HOA violation to the city. I have it all." That's when Chad came stomping over. Polo shirt, golf club in hand, full rage mode. "You're threatening my wife?" I stood, looked him in the eye. "No, I'm exposing your fraudulent... Chut, you're not a real board. Your charter was dissolved 2 years ago. I checked." He blinked. "I spoke to the county clerk," I continued. "This entire community's been operating illegally. Collecting fines. Harassing residents. That's called extortion." Mia grabbed his arm. "He's bluffing." "I filed the complaint yesterday," I said. "And by the way, I've got news contacts, a former colonel, and a friend in the state attorney's office who loves exposing fake power games." They didn't speak. Because they knew. They weren't the ones watching anymore. "You tried to bury us 5 years ago. Now the whole country's gonna see what kind of weeds grow in your backyard." 2 days later, the storm hit. Not the weather, the headlines. "Illegal HOA exposed by retired soldier. Community in chaos. Fake fines, real threats, veteran uncovers HOA abuse scandal." News vans rolled into the neighborhood. Neighbors peeked through blinds. Some came outside, silent, curious, a few even clapped. When they saw me standing on the edge of my land, arms crossed, watching it all unfold. The county sent officials. Legal notices were stapled to the HOA office. Bank accounts frozen. Investigations launched. Residents started filing their own claims. Suddenly, Chad's little empire cracked like a cheap mirror. But the real twist? One of the residents, an older black Navy vet named Mr. Booker, walked over to me. He shook my hand with both of his. "You don't know this," he said, "but they tried the same thing on me. Called me too loud, sent fines. Tried to evict me over my flagpole." I looked at his yard. The American flag still flew high. "Why didn't you speak out?" I asked. "They made me feel small," he said quietly. "Like I didn't belong. But watching you reminded me who the hell I am." I nodded. "They forgot one thing, Mr. Booker." He raised an eyebrow. "We built this country. They just bought houses in it." Mia wasn't seen for days. But when she finally did crawl back out, it wasn't with that sharp-tongued pride. It was with sunglasses, a scarf over her hair, and shaking hands as she handed reporters a no comment and got in her car. But it wasn't over. Because I wasn't just after public shame. I wanted legal justice. So I released the recordings, the wedding audio. The CPS calls traced back to Mia's cousin. The HOA bribes they made to silence residents. Everything. The district attorney called it a landmark harassment case. Multiple charges pending, civil lawsuits piling up, Chad's assets frozen, and the best part? They couldn't touch me. Not my daughter, not my land, because I registered our property under the Kayla Foundation, a legal trust. Mia and her little army couldn't claw through it if they tried for decades. You kicked us out of your wedding, but we just evicted your entire life. The neighborhood was never the same. Cosigns came down. The fake fines stopped. The gates stayed open, and the people, real people, finally breathed. The ones who were scared to speak, they started sharing their stories. Veterans, single moms, immigrants, families, who were told they didn't fit the image. And every single one of them had one thing in common. They were bullied by Mia and Chad. But now they had a voice. It wasn't just about me anymore. It became bigger. A movement. A fight against fake authority and quiet abuse. Local channels turned it into a docuseries. National outlets picked it up. HOA abuse suddenly became a national topic. People across the country messaged me. My HOA is doing the same thing. Thank you for standing up. I thought I was alone. Kayla saw her dad on TV. She smiled for the first time in a long while, not the small kind. The real kind. The kind that said, we made it. Then something happened I didn't expect. Mia showed up at the edge of my land, alone, no camera, no guards. Just her, holding a small photo album in shaky hands. "I came to apologize," she whispered. "For everything. For Kayla. For ruining what we had. I wasn't in a good place then." I let her speak quietly. "I see now what you were protecting. I see now what I tried to destroy." She handed me the album. Inside were pictures from our wedding, the real ones. The ones with Kayla smiling in her flower crown, me kneeling beside her. Moments I thought were erased. I closed the album and looked up at her. "I don't hate you," I said. "But I don't forgive you either. Forgiveness is earned. Kayla doesn't need your words. She needs the world. To never forget what you did." She nodded. For once, no snark, no smirk, just silence. Then she turned and walked away. And I knew that was her real punishment. Living with the weight of everything she threw away. "You didn't just lose us, Mia, you lost your reflection." It was quiet again, peaceful, not the kind of quiet that comes from fear, but the kind that comes after a storm, clears everything fake from your life. Kayla ran barefoot through our yard that morning. Same yard they tried to take from us. She was humming, drawing chalk flowers on the driveway. No weight on her shoulders. I sat on the porch, coffee in hand, watching her. And for the first time in years, I felt something deep. Something I hadn't let myself feel since that wedding day. Freedom. Not the kind written in laws or shouted in politics, but the kind you earn. Inch by inch, protecting the people you love. The state filed charges. Mia pled no contest. Chad was hit with 6 federal violations. The community was dissolved. My footage, my recordings, my truth became part of a new HOA reform bill in the state legislature. They tried to erase me, bury me, humiliate me in front of the world. But what they forgot, you don't mock a soldier, you don't threaten a father, and you never, ever try to break a man who's already buried. His wife and still stands tall for his daughter. That little girl, she's not a leftover. She's my legacy. And this land we stand on, it's ours. Paid for, protected. Not just with money, but with blood, dignity, and truth. Before going inside, I looked up at the flag flying above our porch. The same one they once called too loud. I smiled. I didn't fight for this country to be told my daughter isn't welcome in it. And now she never has to wonder where home is again. Subscribe my YouTube channel for more stories.